So bottom right of Berlingrad, it is HeRoMaRinE. Top left, it is Skillous. So I looked, and while HeRoMaRinE does have a very, very convincing overall score versus Skillous, 19-2 in HeRoMaRinE's favor. The most recent battle between the two ended in a 3-1 victory for Skillous. So, color me surprised. That's, I missed that one. I think I was still basically taking a break from the Open Cups, or I just completely forgot about it. You know, either one. Totally possible. So that was a month and a half ago, in January 24th. Okay, Skillous took a 3-1 victory. Very surprising indeed. He had not won against HeRoMaRinE for a full 3 years. And they played. They did play. And, you know, most of HeRoMaRinE's victories were also pretty stomp-like. Skillous would get, like, one map, but then not much. So Skillous, that's a real turnaround in January. Was that a fluke? Very possibly. I gotta be real. Already kind of went over, and I'll do it again here for the YouTube audience, just how good of a person Skillous has proven to be and how much adversity, I guess, he's up against right now. This is being cast at the time of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and Skillous is Russian. He has one of his first tweets, his instinct tweet, I suppose, was a tweet in favor of the Ukrainians. So, and he did not return to Russia either, so he is living elsewhere in a good area in the Netherlands, so surrounded by fellow pros and good work environment for what he does and all that good stuff. But Skillous, he's definitely, you know, a lot of us are anxious about these things. Well, Skillous is directly impacted by these things. So just big shout out to Skillous for everything that he's done and working against. But with that blurb, I suppose, the real truth is that Skillous just doesn't usually win against HeRoMaRinE, right? So while that might have not been a fluke at the time, perhaps Skillous really was getting better and HeRoMaRinE was getting a little bit worse in January to February. What ended up happening, as we know for HeRoMaRinE, is that he ended up getting top 4 of Katowice. So we were kind of seeing him on the trajectory back up, and Skillous perhaps just kind of leveled out. It's still a very good result for him to be in the finals of another Open Cup. And this would be his second or third then, because he was obviously in the finals. But the last one, he actually beat HeRoMaRinE out of 4. That's when that happened. But yeah, so HeRoMaRinE I still think is more so on the up and up, and he does generally win against specifically Protoss players in this Open Cup, of which there are a billion Protoss players, so he wins often. We'll see what happens here. Skillous has gone for a Stargate opener with Phoenix. First one's about to pop out. His Adepts have been doing one hell of a thorough job trying to scout for proxies, but they did miss this one. The most important one. And to be honest, and not too uncommon of a location, although I would argue the most common is up here. But that's very unfortunate news for Skillous. The fortunate news, if you're cheering for the Protoss, is that the Phoenix are supposed to handle this better than if you were waiting on Blink to finish, or if you had a rather useless Immortal that's trying to scuttle walk after these Hellions. But the Hellions are not, or the Phoenix rather, are not quite in place, so 6 probes already go down, make that 8, a 9th will go down as well. And more in the main base, unfortunately. 2 Hellions do 2 shots, but they have some ample time to do so. 15 probes might be the end product here. Yeah. End of the line for those Hellions and the Medevac. Full sacrifice here from HeRoMaRinE, but one that I would say is worth it. HeRoMaRinE now is up 8 workers, with 2 mules being dropped. That's more like being up 16 workers, and he just needs to defend, which is always the kind of scary part for the Terran player. But Phoenix aren't good at killing. Phoenix are good at harassing. They're good at clearing things up, punishing things, yes, but they're not really good at killing. So while HeRoMaRinE should take this threat seriously as far as protecting his tank, protecting his SCVs, he's not going to die. The Depths kind of ditto. They don't kill They don't kill entire enemies, but they do kill SCVs. They do kill Marines, so... The SCVs do have to be pulled away. Fortunately, they get 3-shot by Adepts, not 2-shot, so some of them still alive, although weak. And the Adepts, Phoenix, both of them not finding very much success. HeRoMaRinE successfully defends, still ahead in workers, which with this matchup is very far ahead. Just look at these numbers. Look at him. Oh! Oh! He didn't actually get the Cyclone! Oh, no. Just, you know, something, right? Anything. Looks like he lost only a Phoenix, so that's much worse things could have happened for that attempt to remove the Cyclone. But oh, what the hell's happening here? A Fleet Beacon and a Robotics Bay? This would not be the first time that Skillous has experimented in this matchup, but actually I would say that Goblin, and for me, is more so the person who has experimented and then won with the experiments against HeRoMaRinE. But I would not be at all surprised to hear that this is how Skillous won their previous encounter in the round of 4, because it does sound familiar, actually. That there is some weird air shenanigans happening. HeRoMaRinE was falling against Goblin, someone who basically on the level he's much better than against. But he was falling against him, I think, 2 times. He lost an entire series against him, and then a map in a best of 3 against him. Like a year ago? You know, a while ago at this point. And it kind of seemed like he had been figured out. So I do think that Skillous, in a way, is still kind of... You know, he might initially get the surprise. HeRoMaRinE's gonna be like, really? You're playing that again? What? Okay, fine. But I don't think he'll get it more than once. This is ultimately a bit of a trick, a bit of a cheese. And especially for this game, it's a bit of a Hail Mary. So let's watch this unfold. All the upgrades for the Terran are done. Well, not Marauder slow, but I don't think he needs it. Colossus is going to do well against the Marines, but well enough is the question. Not quite. Shield batteries keeping that damn thing alive, however. Hot diggity damn. Yep, there go the shield batteries. Take that out of the equation. Carriers will pop, but with only so many interceptors, they will be quite useless, and Skillous has to tap out. GG. I gotta believe that Skillous was planning on doing that actually from the get-go. That's not a Hail Mary like a Dark Shrine is a Hail Mary. Like a very understandable when behind Dark Shrine. Like that had to have been his original plan. And then he was hoping perhaps the absurdity of it would still catch HeRoMaRinE off guard. Any less aggressive, any more passive Terran players, and he probably gets 2 Colossus 4 carriers, and the Terran's like, what the hell, man? You know, so Spirit, throw a name out there, might have fallen, despite the huge lead early on, because he extends the game for quite some time. But even then, I think Spirit would have won from that position. 15 probes early on killed is truly devastating. I say even Spirit like he's bad at this game, but you guys know what I mean. So quickly into game 2 on 2,000 atmospheres. Top right up 1, he is HeRoMaRinE. Bottom left, that is Skillous. If Skillous had his Phoenix to the left instead of to the right, he probably stops the Hellions quick enough to play a very easy, well, not easy, but very playable game. Probably stops the Hellion kills at like 7 or 8, if I had to guess. Definitely lower than 10. Which would have put them at like even workers and still wouldn't have been great, but it's better than what happened. And I'm pretty sure Phoenix in position would have stopped it at like 6 or 7. Because they would have picked up the Hellions faster and then hopefully been able to pick up more later, or the Adepts would have only been able to focus on the main, blocking the main instead of having to run around like they did. And that is the tricky part about the Hellion drop, is that it relies so much on knowing where it's coming in from, which you just, most of the time, you can't do. And it also, even sometimes it feels like relies on the luckiness of the Hellion shot. Speaking from the Terran perspective, I could look at that engagement and say, yeah, for HeRoMaRinE, that made a lot of sense. 15 probes. I try and do it, and the Hellions shoot all cockeyed. And you're like, what the hell? And you get 7 probes despite the same exact scenario. So, my Protoss and Terran side are awfully conflicted, but I would say actually, I feel like it's almost always, it's not 2-Rax levels of meme, like, this build never loses. It does feel like it's always a great thing to throw into a best of 5. Like, if you don't throw in a Hellion drop in a best of 5, that's on you. You know what I mean? Feels a tad difficult for the Protoss to perfectly defend against, even if they scout it. But, to be clear, Skillous did not scout it. He arguably was a bit lazy on his scouting. Harsh word. But 2 Adepts went to the left. They didn't even scout the full entirety of the left, where Proxy Starport often is. Or, I say left, that didn't make any sense, at it. Top right. And then they scouted none of the left side. That's what it was, yeah. So, and that's where the starport was. So Skillous, I don't think he can even do much better scouting. There's only so many tools that you have to scout. And you don't want to just send 5 probes out to scout every nook and cranny, because if they aren't doing anything, then you just don't have that much mining. But, you know, for instance, maybe in this game he scouts to the right and puts his Phoenix on the left. Something like that. Skillous also did not go for a 2 Adept opener. He went Adept Stalker, which is slightly different than last time. Super important, but a little bit better at tearing things down. Such as this Reaper. Hop! The skills! Ooh, the Reaper. So you might be wondering why the Reaper decided to go right and not left. He already knew about the Stargate, he knew about the Phoenix, obviously. He wanted to probably see the gases, specifically. Which is very last-second decision-making, perhaps. I think he was already on his pathway there. It's really important because 2 gases here means Colossus. At the very least, it means very quick Archons and Storm, but usually Colossus. And if there's not 2 gases, it means mass charge lots and a 3rd Nexus going down somewhere. So a very good last-second scout. I think regardless of what the Reaper scouted, HeRoMaRinE probably still does this push. IMO. He's even finding one of the Phoenix! Oh, jeez, that's so bad.
Resubscription received. Apparently you are doing something right, Captain.
The thing is, if it was a 3rd Nexus with charge lots on the way, charge wouldn't be done. You'd still be mostly reliant on Phoenix, and maybe Adept Warp-ins are often an early game counter for the Protoss. But you'd get a quick cancel on the 3rd. If he is going 2 base, which again, HeRoMaRinE knows, then you can contain them. And still possibly straight up win the game. Thank you, Nautilator, for the 10 months. So I'm a little surprised that Skillous hasn't warped in maybe some Adepts, but he is getting his Immortal, he's getting some shield batteries. I don't know if I love the shield battery position, though. Yeah, I definitely don't. That's unfortunate. I would have thought a couple more Adepts, to be honest. Immortal's shield is already popped. The Phoenix didn't actually... Hello? Phoenix? I feel like the Phoenix would have made that a bust. As it is, the tank goes down, but the Cyclone lives, the Medevac lives, the Marines live. That's enough to protect a bit of a retreat here. Which usually what the Protoss gets from defending this push is that they get to entirely break it. They get to chase after it and kill everything. But with the amount of Marines left over and the reinforcements still coming in, Skillous, well, he hasn't even broken it. He didn't break it, and he certainly can't chase it down. This is a bold Nexus. Quick cancel here. And HeRoMaRinE continues to rally in, so he makes it look like he's about to escape, but then says, well, do I? Do I have to? I do like the way that HeRoMaRinE's playing around with the expectations on leaving or not leaving. Eventually, I do think he has to leave. But, I mean, the Phoenix not being used to the best of their ability. Somewhere out there, Roddy's casting the same game. Being very critical. Now the Phoenix do something. They pick up a Phoenix, or a Viking rather. They kill a couple of SCVs, but the recall back home is slightly less energy. Still does not make me feel good about this game for Skillous. If HeRoMaRinE brought some like SCVs for bunkers, it would be entirely game over. Do remember, I guess, that HeRoMaRinE is dedicated to this push. He doesn't have stim on the way. His barracks were delayed, but that is a lot of tanks in the front line, and the Colossus is beating down those Marines. The shield battery is about to die, finally goes down, and that Cyclone is gonna grab the kill. By the looks of things, the tanks take so long for the Phoenix alone to kill. There goes the Colossus. Finally, the second one will clean up the Cyclone, but 2 tanks live. The Phoenix are gonna be forced to lift again, and thankfully they do have the energy, and this will be an entire cleanup. HeRoMaRinE realizes that about halfway into the last second of that fight, pulls back everything that he's got, and he's a little low on the anti-Phoenix measures, so the missile turrets have got to come down. He knows that he's going into the mineral lines. He's also putting it around his production lines. So that was, again, one of those just very small little counterattack options that a Protoss has, kind of like last game, where you do kind of wait and clinch and wait, and then, okay, everything's good. Everything's good here. But had he been later to the missile turrets, the Phoenix might have been able to grab these mules, grab 5 or 6 SCVs, and continue wreaking havoc. Even here, grabbing a tank is excellent. The missile turret was not done, even though HeRoMaRinE realized this was a possibility. Just wasn't fast enough to it. So some return damage, but enough? Not quite. No. HeRoMaRinE might be initially lacking units as he was forced to retreat, but he's very quickly replacing them. 2 medevacs lifted up the Marines. Combat shields is about to finish. Stim was not started. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Let me just triple, quadruple, quintuple. He does not have stim. He does not realize there's enough stim. Okay, there he goes. He starts it, but ooh, that's just a misclick. He just thought he had the resources and didn't? Because nothing could have killed the tech lab, right? I'm not crazy. Oh, no. Those 2 medevacs are supposed to do a lot more damage. Even still, I think HeRoMaRinE's okay, because his production is now good. I mean, he went up to 5 barracks very quickly. His economy has been rocking the last minute and a half. And I do love the extra precautions he's taking now that he realizes he doesn't have stim. Skillous can't know that, but you know, it's not. If Stim was finishing in 20 seconds, I think that maybe there's a chance, but Stim's not finishing close at all. And the more that Skillous sees no Stim, the more he might get suspicious that it's actually not done. But the Protoss can't know. And of course, the Terran would usually be holding onto a stim, but here you go. The trigger has been pulled, and yet there's no stim. Skillous has got to figure he's got an amazing moment here. But the Sim City is really helping out the stimless units. The bunker helping out as well. The Phoenix are trying to win the air battle, and it looks like they will. There just wasn't any stim to destroy the air units, right? But the reinforcements, will they be enough? The bunker holds. The SCVs repair the tank at the last second, but it can't shoot those zealots. Helps take care of the sentry, and some Marines just, I guess, living from the earlier battle are actually going to be able to help clear up the zealots, but the warp in the main base, will that be enough? 8 barracks pumping away, 3 of them without add-ons, but still probably going to be enough. Maybe going to be enough. It's so damn close. The tank actually sieges up, barely able to get the shots as the Marauder protects its dead zone, and more warp ins happen. The Colossus close enough to be protected, but the Liberators are going to pop out, force the unsiege of the warp prism to pick up on the Colossus. HeRoMaRinE loses 30 STVs, more actually to come as the Natural is under attack. The Liberators can only protect so much, and HeRoMaRinE is just shaking his head right now at that lack of stim. It's finally finished, but the Marines, apparently they got to the bunker. So there's no Marines to protect the 3rd CC. The lift on the SCVs, oh my god, HeRoMaRinE. He's down 14 workers, but with 4 command centers, he'd be replacing that really quickly. He just needs to live, for God's sakes, and he finally holds. Oh my god. Skillous still has that warp prism alive. He does have some zealots in there. Glad to see that. A couple of stalkers or adepts actually might have been even better in a scenario as weird as this one. Something with projectiles to easily pick up and dodge away. But still, same concept. The warp prism is going to be threatening that continual backstab. HeRoMaRinE, I think, already in a position where he has to defend. He has to be on his back foot and just hoping that he can survive. Well, really has no option with a Warp Prism still being out in play. HeRoMaRinE even so greedily takes the 4th as an orbital because he has to. He has to replace his economy. And I think he'll be able to do it. I think he actually might even be able to catch up, but then his next problem will be protecting an actual legitimate 4th base. He just won't have a planetary there, and that'll be a whole layer of complication at minute 16 or something like that. Skillous. 4th Nexus is coming down. It's about to finish. Doesn't have all his gases quite yet, but I think he will add them very soon. Blink on the way. Continuing his upgrades, he will continue to have an upgrade lead. I think HeRoMaRinE starting up that +2 is very much in the right to do so, but you can't afford the armor. Can't afford miscellaneous turrets either to help protect, just the ones he built earlier on against the Phoenix. Very bold drop, but I guess he did kill the Phoenix, didn't he? Okay, that did make sense, but it's like, you get one. I don't know if you get a second. Blink's done. Yeah. Probably gonna kill 1 or 2 Stalkers. Good snipe there from Skillous. Tries to save the Stalkers just to make sure that he doesn't take unnecessary losses. I think right now HeRoMaRinE also hoping for a big distraction because he's got a quadruple drop. No? Yes. Quad drop with some lingering units. Headed over to that left side. Blinked Stalkers on the wrong side of the battlefield. Means that Zealots have to be warped into the main. The Colossus can help that too, but they got to be careful. They are pretty much alone. The Zealots are going to dissipate pretty quickly. And now 3 Colossus alone against the might of the Marauders. Need to be careful. Here come the Stalkers. A little bit more buffer. Ooh, Gravitic Drive ends up being denied. And only 1 Medivac ends up falling. The other one getting very, very low. But still kicking. Robotics Bay was killed, so no Colossus, no Disruptors. And yes, no upgrades. But Extended Thermal Lance is already done. And that is certainly the most important thing. Warp Prism lacking that speed boost is going to tide the missile turret. So funnily enough, that did really affect things. But HeRoMaRinE, okay, so he lost 2 Medivacs. He has cleaned up the some of the access points though, which means that further attacks might be a little more devastating. For instance, this one here. Well, not this one. I think the army was very close. Still saves most of the army. And now HeRoMaRinE feeling like he can/has to take his 4th command center. So mules will be dropped. Gobble up whatever you can as fast as you can, basically, and hope that your drops are still holding Skillous back at home. You know, Skillous doesn't know the drops have completely stopped, although he does have some pretty good map vision. You just can't be 100% sure. HeRoMaRinE's got 2-1 against his opponent's 2-1. And of the resources he's collected, he is focusing on the +1 ship weapons. Again, I think that's smart decision making. If he can get to +2 and turtle with Liberators, or even just get to a good Viking count, then he completely nullifies the Colossus, which is still a big contributing factor to Skillous' army. Eventually, I think Protoss get rid of Colossus, and they're like, I'll cry later. But right now, I think that Skillous would still feel a lot comfier with Colossus. But at 8 Vikings, about to be 11, I think you can stop there against 3 Colossus and kill them pretty reliably. Trying to bait the army into the Disruptor shots. HeRoMaRinE, I think Ditto trying to bait the Disruptor shots. Does get a pretty nasty one there. You know, usually at this point, HeRoMaRinE would probably be maxed with 2/2 upgrades. So I could see how he would usually be able to take that fight. I don't think he can, actually, in this particular case. Mass DTs are now a thorn in HeRoMaRinE's side that he really can't get rid of. With no planetary to hold the line somewhere, it's only a matter of time. In fact, I'm really surprised that Skillous did not move into the left. I think he could have. At least kill the tank and get out. Probably not lose too much on your own. HeRoMaRinE is getting closer to being maxed out, however. His army supply very close to being equal with Skillous, and that is truly the great equalizer. He could take a very good fight if he's maxed out. His Vikings will, as I was saying, take care of the Colossus pretty much without them contributing to the fight whatsoever. EMPs do go down. Disruptor is looking for a beautiful shot. Does find one, but needs to be careful on the right side. Although HeRoMaRinE, I don't think was paying attention. There was still so much to actually look at in this battle. It was almost impossible to do so, even as an observer with the zoomed out mode. So HeRoMaRinE not able to actually collect his forces and focus on every single battle that was happening. 3 tanks do help anchor his defense, and the Liberators pop out to probably buy more time. But Skillous is on 5 bases, HeRoMaRinE on 4, but on 45 SCVs. It's still, you know, it's, oh, okay, well, War Prism in the main as well. He did notice that, so some bio has been collected in the main, but that is a lot. A scan has to be used, and now that is also a question. Do I have to scan? Chi-Chi. Yeah, Skillous able to win that one, but 100% because HeRoMaRinE didn't have stim. If HeRoMaRinE has stim, that battle is so completely different. It's insane. Because the initial burst of fire from the stim units would have killed probably all of the Phoenix. Maybe 1 lives. And then there's not as many lifts. There's not as much of a duel in the skies. So the Vikings also kill the Colossus faster. And if they kill the Colossus, they could probably kill the War Prism. So there's none of that hot pickup and no warping into the main base. It's so completely different that I think that if stim was done, Skillous actually just pushes in error and dies. He goes, maybe? Oh, nope, just kidding. I think that actually is that much of a difference. Getting real quick into the 3rd game on Hardwire. And now the series is tied up 1-1. Bottom left, it is HeRoMaRinE. Top right, it is Skillous. So missing stim, not very often. Doesn't happen very often with pros, does it? HeRoMaRinE could count on his finger. 1 finger. How many times he's forgotten stim. And it was that game, right there. Probably not true. He's probably forgotten plenty of stims. Plenty of ladder games. But I would say obviously stim being forgotten about often contributes to a game in a very meaningful way. The amount of times I've actually seen it enter into a loss is quite low, actually. Usually what happens is that the Terran realizes I don't have stim and then is very defensive because they can't be aggressive. They literally can't be aggressive, and they also don't want to poke the bear and kind of reveal their own weakness. And then the game equalizes as far as
Twitch Prime
economies and armies, and stim finally finishes, and you go, whew, okay, I didn't die. But it still puts the Terran behind, just kind of in the pacing of any matchup that they've forgotten stim in. So in TVZ, they're not doing like a double medevac drop and stimming in to kill the queens or clear up creep, and PvT, you know, what we saw here, right? Yeah, I'd say the times I've seen stim forgotten, it actually rarely ends without that stim finishing at the very least. So pretty funny stuff. So Skillous misses the proxy barracks, but he does, of course, scout, sees that a proxy barracks is out somewhere. HeRoMaRinE is going to put the bold bunker down, which is, you know, from here on out what I'm going to call this bunker. There's a bunker back here, which has a little, like, mineral sim city to help it survive against probe pulls, but is only hurtful for the probe line. This bunker has a little bit more possibility of being surrounded or killed. But if it finishes and the Reapers get in it, Reapers and or Marines actually, it can kill the pylon. You kill the pylon, no shield battery. No shield battery, a lot more units have to be made. Now, fortunately, the SCV was almost killed. So it gets one shot, boom, no more repair. Suddenly, the difficulty of defending this without a shield battery gets kind of counteracted a bit by the ease of killing a bunker when there's no repair. You know what I mean? It still, I think, ultimately is more annoying for the Protoss, but if there is an SCV jumping in and out... Oh, and he's gonna drop the mule, but too late! 3 stalkers actually killed a mule entirely wasted. The Stalker does die, but 2 Reapers. How much damage are they actually going to do in the main base? Make that 1 Reaper. Not a whole lot. Now the Stalkers are also in position to body block the Hellion. That's actually going to turn around on HeRoMaRinE. I think we all know that he was hoping to distract the Stalkers all the way to the right, and he was almost successful, but Skillous, either game sense or coincidence, was able to have his Stalkers perfectly positioned so the Hellion didn't contribute anything. That could have been so much worse. That could have been so much worse. The Mule could have repaired the bunker, the pylon goes down, the Stalker still dies, 2 Stalkers still struggle. Another Reaper, I think, was about to come over too, like... Whew. Thank you, King Harry II. We're in the presence of royalty for that Prime sub. So a fun little start to this game. I guess what is also worth pointing out is that Skillous didn't kind of bother, is the right word? He didn't bother to put a shield battery down, right? Because he probably figured his pylon was screwed. So, in a way, he saves 100 minerals. And I think he realized he was going to save the pylon, so he didn't make a faster 3rd pylon? Faster 4th pylon? You know what I mean. So I think Skillous, surprisingly enough, his build order doesn't get as interrupted as I thought it was going to be. He did have to make Stalkers instead of any amount of Adepts, so his scouting, his follow-up scouting might be a little lackluster, but it looks like his probe got in and saw the command center timing. And now his scouting is going to be his Warp Prism and his Observer and his Blink Stalker attack, which is a 4-gate Blink Stalker attack, by the way, guys. This Reaper's going to get in and see, wow, that's a lot of gateways. And the question is, does HeRoMaRinE already have defenses back at home? Doesn't look that way. He skipped the bunkers. Well, he skipped the front bunker, but he just, you don't make a main one unless you know it's a 4-gate. And his knowledge of the 4-gate came very late. So HeRoMaRinE just loses? Question mark? Very bold blink forward. It does grab the tank, but those Marines were able to free fire on the Stalkers for so long, and then Stim actually kicked in. Definitely not game over. Definitely not, but... Still a bit of a scary moment for HeRoMaRinE. His 3 barracks, sorry, 5, not in play yet. His 3 barracks are finally pumping. They have their add-ons. His bunker and the main finishes as well. His medevacs have popped out. His upgrades have finished, and I do believe that one moment was the scariest moment. Now it's actually scary for Skillous. As you can see here, he's on the run. He overstayed his welcome. He underestimated the amount of bio that was going to be included with that Stim finishing. So what I'm going to guess here. And now it's more so about buying time, not letting HeRoMaRinE just go across the map with his better army and kill Skillous. So the unfortunate news here is that the 4-gate, it needs to actually do a lot of damage or last a long time. And with what went down, it's definitely worse for Skillous. It was scary for a second. The no bunkers, the very few Marines, it was scary, but... in a weird way, this is actually what I thought was going to happen last game. Last game, it was a later situation, but I was pretty sure that HeRoMaRinE's production was going to overcome Skillous's potential counter, and then his lack of Stim killed him. Well, this is more so correct, where, yeah, Skillous has this 1 second where a counter is scary, but HeRoMaRinE's production is up and running, so... the bio player is supposed to beat out the upgradeless, pure Blink Stalker player. Just give them a handful extra units. And now Skillous is in a certainly game-ending place. Zealots in the main are going to buy a lot more time, however. That's a lot of Zealots. Putting all your points in offense to see if this works out. SCD's pulled out, protect the few bio units that remain back at home. But this is a lot of damage, actually. Ooh, Skillous is, warping into Zealots on the front line. They just would have been kited down and killed. Warping them in right when he did might actually be able to save him in a base race scenario. Oh, hoo, hoo. Oh, suddenly that 30 supply difference is now even supply. HeRoMaRinE down to only 6 workers is in a terrible spot if he thinks he's going to come back from this, but obviously Skillous will soon not be in a much better position. The recall, no! Oh, he recalled DTs! Oh! Oh, he already warped him in. But they're trapped, they're corralled! The scan! No! The probes! They blocked him! The probes blocked the DT! Oh, you bastards! You could see it, that DT was like trying to reach, man. Oh my god. Well, this space race, still interesting though. I mean, the DTs would have been a game changer, potentially. One DT might not have been. I mean, it would have not been scanned because everything's floating. There is no command center left over. You think, well, that means that, yes, Skillous would win, right? There's nothing to detect. Well, one DT, you can still actually run around it, so it'd be really weird. Like, HeRoMaRinE would still have a chance at a literal base race, like killing last building, right? Now, well, it's not even in play, so I'll stop talking about it. No DTs to emergency win the day. It is purely about the armies fighting each other, and HeRoMaRinE's army's better. He should win this game. I don't know how Skillous actually does this. Yeah, and he also admits it. GG. Wow, HeRoMaRinE. Defends, he holds. He wins the base race, he does all the things. And I actually feel quite lightheaded, which is a very weird thing to feel right now. Skillous, I don't think Skillous was talked to, but he says happens to the best of us. I don't know what he meant by that. I'm gonna stand up. Oh, crap. I don't think I can stand up. My cables have gotten so discombobulated. They were already on thin ice. My cables were just long enough for me to stand up. And now they've all been twisted, so... I'm gonna cast, like, with my wide stance. Whew. That fucking DT, though. That would have been a big difference. It would have made it still a very scary game for both players. Because if HeRoMaRinE has to be pick-up microing against the DT, then that's when Skillous wombo combos with the Stalkers, you know, and picks off a full medevac, and then suddenly he's capable of winning the fight. Would have been pretty cool, but perhaps Skillous recalling was actually his very first problem. Probably could have just run those back home. But I could see how in the heat of the moment he thought, oh, I'll get him, he won't have a scan. It's very close to being true. In the bottom left it is HeRoMaRinE, in the bottom right it is Skillous. I actually wonder how close he was to destroying the command center when he recalled. I do wonder. Because I wasn't paying attention to that, I was looking at the other army, so I don't know if another streamer caught the destruction of the command center. So we have a little fake proxy coming down. It is technically closer, just not here. Then we have two gases, so it is very much really going to go into a bit of a one-base build, a factory expand. And Skillous will have to worry about that. Skillous has not gone for any anti-Reaper walls, but rather more so an anti-Hellion wall. the Reaper can only get through here. Maybe he gets trapped trying to get out. Same with like any Hellions. Try and get through here. You body block with the Stalker. You know. Only thing the probe can do in the situation is make sure the factory also comes down at home. There was a time where professional StarCrafts looked much like my games do, which is you would proxy everything. Not so anymore. Doesn't really reduce the danger of it, however. There's still worry, you know, if this is early Hellions, if this is some weird throwback to Cyclones with a Magfield Accelerator. It's all things you have to worry about. The Magfield Accelerator cheese was clever. Not extremely clever, but a bit clever, because the proxy racks would be what actually gets the high ground vision, you know? Don't see that anymore. Mostly you see the panic set in for the Protoss player. Maybe they do change their mind as far as what they were getting Twilight Council Robo Stargate-wise, maybe first unit-wise, and then they relax, they chill. This is going to be leading into a 2-1-1 by the looks of things. And that I am not at all surprised by. Probably could have guessed it. Made myself look smart, but I didn't. But the 2-1-1 follow-up, or straight-up build, whatever. Oh, no, 3 racks. Hold on. I was going to say the 2-1-1 has surprisingly been good on this map. It seems like it's way too on the nose for a short-by-air map. But yet still, I've watched like 3 or 4 Protoss die to it, so I was considering it. But no, it's a 3 racks factory tank push to the front. So we might even see a handful of SCVs pulled as well. Stim starts up. Production ramping up as well. Skillous goes into, looks to be Colossus. Link Colossus. The gas is being added on first and foremost. His first vision of his opponent's base is going to be coming in with his observer. It just popped, floating over now. No sentry for hallucination. The adept can only get so far in. So I think the worry right now would be, again, first, is it a 2-1-1? Are medevacs flying across the map right now? That would be quite unfortunate if that were the case. It is not. And then he'll see that it is a 3 racks emphasis and know that there's going to be an attack at the front of his base. She'll have to try and hold against. And it's kind of tricky for the Protoss, especially on a map like Blackburn, I guess, where it is so tempting to have that shield battery here, but the conundrum for Protoss is that, you know, I talk about over-defending a lot, and in the more obvious fashions, like if you're getting roach rushed, you build 6 bunkers, you over-defend. You probably still fall behind because you had to cut 1 billion SCVs to do that. There's also over-defending in the fact that you would be pinned on your own choke. So, you know, you're thinking, oh, he's attacking me, I'll just defend, and then I'll have a superior technology, economy, whatever, and you actually do defend on these 2 bases. Well, then you're on a choke, on a ramp against tanks, and it's going to be even harder to break out, where if you kind of take the appropriate steps beforehand to actually situate yourself outwards, you might be putting yourself into a different vulnerable situation, but then you actually have a bit more of a concave to work with, right? So, like I said, a bit of a conundrum. In this case, Skillous is not going to try and reach towards any type of pylon shield battery addition. It'd be picked off because he can't actually appropriately defend it now anyways. He has to buy time. But the more time that he buys for himself, the more time HeRoMaRinE gets to be close to his natural, to siege up his natural. I do like this move out. I like it a lot. Colossus gets a couple of beams on those Marines, which were not even spread out. HeRoMaRinE thought he could go a little bit closer before actually siege hopping his tanks. But now the siege hop continues. Need a name for this. Need a song to go along with the siege hop. Like some Easter Bunny song we can go with it. Unsieging all of his tanks seems a bit bold, but then Skillous actually did not have the firepower to appropriately punish it. unsieged tanks still have pretty damn good DPS, and they took down a few of those stalkers for their attempts. Skillous is about to have charge and extend thermal lance, and he's trying to get into a dark shrine. He's gonna move out into a bit more of a concave here from the bio, but every sim's gonna hurt HeRoMaRinE as well, so he's got to be careful about that. He does grab the Colossus, but look at how much damage his bio took. Any left over is in the red. But still alive. That starport only just now starting, so we're still not talking about medevacs, but we are talking about a growing tank count. Now that's usually very scary, but with the charge lot number starting to grow too, they actually nullify those tanks. I think Skillous has towed the line well enough. It's a bit scary, but now he gets the third Nexus. The worker count being even looks terrible for a Protoss, but in this type of game, I'm not sure he could have done much better. Hard to say. Maybe he could have gone... Maybe he could have had better unit retention for some of the earlier fights. I don't know. Maybe he could have saved that second Colossus. Yeah. Could he have gotten faster charge? Maybe. But regardless, I do think that it's something that a Protoss player would have to be comfortable with in this situation. So you don't have the best economy. The economy that you would want to sustain a huge influx of ground gateway units, but you have a couple of really important units, hopefully, to back you up. So in this case, the Colossus. I don't think he... I'm actually a little surprised by this. Yes, he can bully the bio with his Colossus range, but I think he has to be really careful. The medevacs are almost out. And that's a good number of Marauders with upgrades. That scan sees nothing included with this army, and that might be a red flag for the main base. The Warp Prism is chilling, it's waiting, but I mean, that's... Skillous is in a very bold place. He does have a couple of force fields, so I guess his plan is to evacuate through the ramp. But I am concerned. I look at this and I know how tasty that is for the Terran. Even with the Stalkers coming. Okay, third Colossus also comes. That's a little more firepower there. I do believe the... Oh, that was terrible timing. Very unfortunate. The DT runs in when the Observer was being scanned. You want to take away that vision and you got a free DT. Free, quote unquote. But the scans need to be used in the main and the natural at this point. Third CC actually is lifted, has to land to get that scan in, and the attempt to break the front is rather fruitless. I still don't think that's going to happen. The army of the Terran is undeniably good, but the DTs have done a decent bit of damage. The Warp Prism lives, will be able to escape with no Viking chasing it down. 14 SCVs go down in total. Skillous now takes a 13 worker lead. A lot comfier for a Protoss to be on, right? But HeRoMaRiNE's army, though. Skillous still has to be careful. I would say this is still a very scary army to be out on its field by itself. No shield battery, no mass charge lot, buying time. Like, ooh. But it looks like it was good enough. It was an appropriate use of his army. Missile turrets now coming down. They have to. No Raven included. And the quad drop is going to be seen, and thus probably not worth doing. Probably? It's not exactly necessary to send those medevacs back home either, though. Oh my god, he's gonna go for it. Skillous maybe thought that he wasn't gonna go for it. He's like, oh, I scouted you. Like, well, I don't know. So the recall has to happen, but that's kind of an awkward recall. The Archons are going to stop the Zealots from being included in the fights, and then the Archons are going to get targeted down. Stalkers also getting targeted down, so they won't be able to kill the medevacs, but the Zealots eventually unleashed managed to get that surround and force the bio back. Not a terrible trade for a bio. The bio drop, though. But now the economies are a real issue. As I was saying, Skillous was on an even worker count, didn't look that great, 2 base to 2, then took a lead, then took a further lead by actually capitalizing on his map presence. His army bullying the Terran back to 2 bases and grabs a 4th Nexus on the gold base. So his income's gonna be rocking and rolling, and HeRoMaRiNE's kind of just, you know, he's okay. Skillous' economy is that guy having a rave at the party, and HeRoMaRiNE's economy is in the corner sipping on a beer, being awkward. Warp Prism in the main looks awfully deadly. The Archon's gonna be micro, the DT comes in as well, 2 DTs actually, and Skillous might just win this game by the drop in the main base. It looks like the front line, helped by the tanks, will hold without too much care necessary, which is a really important factor in this type of situation. How much does the Terran have to focus on their engagements? But the tanks will only ever cover so much of this game. Eventually, charge lot numbers will start to just be kind of out of control, and the tanks will often be found unguarded. But right now, they are exactly what HeRoMaRinE needs, and HeRoMaRinE holds on to an army supply lead, an upgrade lead as well for about 45 more seconds as +2 is being chronoed. HeRoMaRinE, hopefully, seeing the last of that Warp Prism shenanigans. Didn't actually kill it, just injured it severely. Fifth base now on the way for Skillous, who is continuing to get ahead and farther ahead in the economy. Has yet to actually invest it into his army supply. Again, Nexus and Gateways, Second Forge is on the way, that's all good news, but his actual army is still vulnerable. Needs to be paid attention to, still needs to be babysat. I mean, at this point, it's definitely less in need of a babysitter. It's 12 years old, not 7 years old, but still need to be careful. Skillous starts to get overconfident in this game and says, no, there's no way this guy can take on my army. Well, then HeRoMaRinE suddenly pops you with a few EMPs when you weren't paying attention. The concave happens, and the tanks are sieged up before you actually pull away, and your army dies. It does. But Skillous, he pulls away, he clears up any little drops or whatever was going on there. 5 bases again, so he could even lose one and probably not be too sad about it. And now he just needs to make sure that HeRoMaRinE doesn't encroach on his side of the map without his knowledge. Well, this is an awkward split. Both Colossus are saved with some hot Warp Prism micro, but the Vikings are looking, I believe, for the Warp Prism. No, actually, they go after the Colossus, so they don't actually get either Colossus, because the Warp Prism, yet again, manages to save the day. Of course, these Colossus are almost zombies. They're very close to dying. They probably will not contribute much in the fight, but any shots they can get is good shots. This game has equaled out by the looks of things. Skillous is in the economic lead, so he definitely still has the lead in general. Bigger bank, solid income, and he is working on what looks to be 3-1, but HeRoMaRinE, it's been slowly adding on that +2. Nothing you can do about it. Can't really afford a second engineering base, so he'll have at least 2-1 with a good number of tanks. The EMPs will hit hard, and then maybe the siege units, tanks, plus liberators can actually win him this fight. Let's watch and find out from behind. We got a couple of Marauders helping those Vikings, but it looks like the frontline Zealots are really what's the matter here. The problem for HeRoMaRinE. Or maybe I spoke too soon. They actually finally dissipate. They finally get taken care of. The stock crippling forward into the tanks was awfully bold. The Violent Colossus finally falls, and Zealots on the backside will help clear up the tank numbers, but does Skillous have enough behind it? It looks like the answer is yes. Mass Zealots coming in from the top side. We're a little late, but they join when they're most needed. Now it's just about the micro. The Zealots actually underneath the Liberators could be a problem here. An EMP goes down as well, making the Zealots just paper, and Skillous, I think initially using those Zealots to just say, go away, don't chase after me, was probably the right idea. Invested into the attack and lost a good 1,000 more minerals that he hadn't actually been able to replace too quickly. Not yet anyways. Again, 5 bases, if he still had his probe income, his probe count high, would probably have given him plenty to work with. But his probe count did go down a little. I guess it never really went that high because he had the gold base to work off of. And now he might have actually just lost this game. This baller economy that I was picturing, you know, when it was up here, I think he replaces that bad fight pretty easily, but since he's been dipping down into solid but not all that much better, a bad fight like that actually might kill him. Not to mention, he might have gotten more gateways, but I don't think he ever got a second robo, so he can't replace these Colossus fast enough. He never added on disruptors either, which really would have helped as an oh shit button. I think Skillous might have misplayed this later stage of the game. And speaking of disruptors, I would actually love for him to get 3 Colossus again, sure. Okay, but then into disruptors. HeRoMaRinE, I guess, takes that victory and kind of probably has to digest it a little, because as a Terran in this position, gotta tell you, as bad as I am. I think it's somewhat similar. You just don't really know what the reinforcing power of the Protoss is, you know? For HeRoMaRinE, seeing that 5 Nexus are up and running, maybe he thinks that, again, this is the income advantage that Skillous has had, when we know that it isn't. So he's taking the remax of the Protoss thing very seriously and deciding not to just run into what could potentially be too many Zealots. So you do have to kind of wait, build up a solid number of units, get those Ghosts, get those EMPs, and then you can say, okay, the Protoss can't just win because they spammed Zealots, because it's honestly an issue. But HeRoMaRinE is not just going to say, I can't run into you, so I guess I'm gonna die. He actually expands. He gets his +3 attack on the way at the very least. Another expansion is on the way. A drop hits the main base, actually. Could go after that Dark Shrine once it kills the BT. Just kidding, no it won't. And we do have some disruptors being added as well as a second robo. So I do believe that was a missing puzzle piece to Skillous' production line. Dark Templar with Blink, sure, too. Yes, but he never had that much of a bank, and he certainly doesn't have that much now to really afford, you know, 8 DTs blinking into places. Even if he did, 2 Liberators would probably do the trick defensively. Weirdly enough, Skillous is the one lagging behind in that supply. All that time that he was benefiting from the gold base, well, that time's up. So now what does the economy look like? Yeah, gold base runs out. Suddenly it's the red line appearing on the income graph. So that means that HeRoMaRiNE's a bit more in the driving seat. He does have 3-1 and 1 ship weapon as well, compared to Skillous' 3-1, so the upgrades have evened up. No Zealots on the front line. They're all stuck behind the Stalkers. Makes for one hell of an awkward start to this fight. The Disruptors will probably end up saving the day temporarily. Again, they're just saying, don't chase after me. Please don't. Or if you do, run headfirst into my attack. That'd be great. HeRoMaRinE does not do that. He does spend some time, I believe, cleaning up a little run-by and is about to find an even bigger one, but he's also taking the fights. He's got that concave potential. The Disruptor count is healthy, but it can only cover so much if there is a 270 surround and 2 of them have already shot, right? And we're talking about an EMP actually on top of those Disruptors as well. There's a possibility a guy like HeRoMaRinE, not you or I, but a guy like HeRoMaRinE could actually target fire them down. So HeRoMaRinE has to be really careful. And Skillous has to be really careful. As they both could be ending this game based on, I guess, the Disruptor shots. Two Disruptors used. One not quite dead, though. One Colossus also barely alive. Skillous is trying to set up a really good run-by. Even brings a couple of Stalkers forward to help take care of the Liberators that are sieging up. And the Zealots are going to be able to run a little bit of muck, I suppose. It's really not the biggest of deals. Eventually, HeRoMaRinE will clean that up. Looks like his gold base was under temporary attack by something. I'm not sure what. But yeah, the Zealots will run their course very soon. Oh, the Disruptor is still not getting the best shots possible, but the Vikings do get destroyed by the Stalkers. So, well, Knight spoke too soon again. Some Vikings still alive, trying to go after this last Colossus. Finally finds it, splits and left and right and up and down. Actually, once again, cannot cover the full length of that battle, and neither can the players. I think Skillous actually, perhaps without his knowledge, is winning more of those fights than HeRoMaRinE is able to pay attention to, is able to dodge away from. So while the Disruptors never got that one beautiful shot, they did contribute in other ways, allowing the rest of the Protoss army to actually conquer some of those mini battles, if you will. But HeRoMaRinE still staying at a solid 147 supply, still has a bit of a supply lead. His issue right now, perhaps, is medevac energy. Okay, 3 medevacs do join in, they have some energy. So he's not exactly healing up super quickly, and then he has lost a lot of the momentum. He didn't actually kill the Disruptors, so they're reloaded. He didn't kill the Warp Prism, so, there could be 12 Zealots adding to the fight before he knows it. So he does need to be careful. He situates defensively, knowing that he still has to be afraid. And honestly, not even that he has to be afraid, but rather that it would benefit him so much more to be defensive. If Skillous pushes into him, well, then that's on Skillous. That's Skillous making the wrong call. And if Skillous is getting all amped up and in a hurry because he thinks, oh, that went okay for me, well, that's exactly the type of mistake that HeRoMaRinE might expect someone to make. But it is twofold, right? Defensive, so he can kind of get his ducks in a row, and defensive, so maybe Skillous runs in and just, you know, falls on the spike for HeRoMaRinE. Gassing come. Not looking so hot for Skillous right now. He has not expanded in quite some time. Oh, no, he did expand down here, but he didn't take the gases. Oh. Well, he might want to take those gases. I mean, he stayed around the 55 probe count since I brought up the probe count minutes ago, so it's not like he's had a lot of probes just spread around. This ends up being super awkward for HeRoMaRinE. His army, half of it was actually not involved in the fight, so the Liberators get broken. A lot of the army gets broken, but the planetary does hold. And from the backside, actually, no, those are just error units. They were not supposed to be back there. They don't end up going for a surround. They end up just destroying themselves prior to the fight actually happening. But these Colossus not really contributing as much as you would hope because they're attacking the planetary. Now pulled back, but the Warp Prism gets taken down. The last two Marauders actually able to capitalize on top of the Colossus, take every one of them down with the help of that last Viking. And Skillous is forced to once again retreat, throwing out Disruptor attacks to make sure that they don't die. But HeRoMaRinE is the one to tap out. He was dealing with DTs back at home. And he thought that was too much damage. He might have been right, but he actually only lost one command center from the looks of things. And then, yeah, 15 SCVs, but he's 15 workers down. That's not terrible for a Terran player. He must have figured that in his time dealing with the DTs, cleaning up the mess, Skillous would have capitalized on it and recovered better than he would. And I don't think he's necessarily wrong about that. I do also expect that he didn't quite realize the economic situation for his opponent. Again, maybe a little bit of that, oh, he's probably on 65 probes, and he's probably remaxing a lot faster than I am. When it was, like, only as fast as you, actually. Pretty hype fourth game. And a much more hype finals than I was expecting. Tied up 2-2. Think Skillous need to take a break. They tap out faster from the game than I do, so I only catch half the conversation in the L chat. There you go. He's back. I just have to show off Ziggy one more time. This cat, though. Never seen a cat fit so perfectly. It's like this cushion was made for him. Amazing. Okay. Game 5. Super serious. In the bottom left, it is the Red Terran once again going out for a proxy. It's HeRoMaRinE. In the top right is the blue Protoss. It is Skillous. Putting up quite a fight. Not exactly against all odds. Both games that he won were quite even. Well, the game he won where HeRoMaRinE didn't have stim was definitely more in HeRoMaRinE, but still. It's not like he's winning the most crazy comebacks ever. And in fact, most of that game was well played by Skillous. It just felt like, and perhaps this is my bias, it's very fair, but it kind of felt like Skillous in that last game was closer to throwing than I would have liked. I really did put him in a superior position with his economy advantage in the minute 12 portion of the game or something like that. And then the tumble downward and the suddenly low econ Protoss play had me quite worried. Still, I wouldn't say that he's like, you know, he made the craziest comeback by winning that game. It just, I am surprised by his tenacity. I feel like the past Skillous would have gotten ahead, slowly lost the lead, and then spiraled out of control. So, it's a very cool play from Skillous. Really pushing HeRoMaRinE to his limits as well. Again, no stim game aside. Once again, the bold bunker comes down. The BB. It's the new official name for it. This one is in range of the pylon, but just barely. Even if it wasn't, you can do more micro, so close to it. So, Skillous, he kind of got a little luck early on by being able to kill that SCV. HeRoMaRinE is like, nah, not anymore. I'm gonna bring a fresh one. So there's a fresh SCV with a bunker that's finished, and it's gonna be microed. And where, what was it, the second game, I think, where this ended up turning out okay for Skillous. Yeah, I would actually say should be more bothersome. You know, I said it was more bothersome for Protoss when this was happening, but the SCV kill really made it workable. I feel like this is actually quite terrible. This is when the Protoss starts to mutter to themselves, stupid fucking Terran is so cool, stupid bunker micro, oh, I'm a Terran, I'm a micro. While calmly trying to advance their own position in this game. But still, very annoying. The Stalkers were taking the shots so that the shield battery could finish and actually heal up the pylon as well, so there's that. But I will point out, again, Stalkers had to be made, not a scouting adept. Shield battery had to be made. Additional pylon, I believe, will have to be made. By the looks of things, the pylon... No! The save is good. Okay. Yeah, because if he lost that pylon, it would have been actually supply block. So it wouldn't even be 100 minerals, it'd be the supply block. That would really be harsh. So it might look a little extreme to overcharge to save the pylon, but I think it's very understandable. We still have 3 Reapers, though, and they're in a better position to backstab than they were in the previous bunker game, too. That was one of those last-second attempt at to save the bunker, and then the last-second attempt to use the Reapers, and it just didn't really end up going so well. Now HeRoMaRinE has all 3. They can heal up, they can backstab from left or right. You know, it's a little bit more potent. That's my cat observing pretty well. HeRoMaRinE, did he actually scout the Stargate presence? He did not. Okay. So once again, the Reaper is going to want to get into that main base, see the Stargate, then see the gases at the natural as well. Know that it is Phoenix Colossus. Oh. Ooh, Widowmine drop. And now it is up against Phoenix, which usually do well against this if they respond very quickly. But that's what I said about the Hellion drop, and they did not. I think a bot just went down. Nothing super important. Waiting for that Widowmine drop. And the Widowmine drop waits as well. This might be a bit dangerous. What if Skillous says, oh, what if... let's just send my Phoenix over to the left. But, you know, there's not usually a reason for a Protoss to do that. They kind of stick to guarding their main base, exactly like the Phoenix were doing, and then they leave. So the Reapers see the Phoenix leave. I think HeRoMaRinE wants to wait until the Phoenix are actually on his side of the map. I think he actually moved the medevac for a hot second and then said, you know what? No. But now I see, oh, there it is. Widowmine drop. Skillous was paying, fortunately, faster attention than I was, so he did pull his probes. One more probe will fall, and the Widowmine is not going to be saved. So just getting the hell out of Dodge. Try and hide that medevac up in the top corner so the Phoenix cannot find it. And the Widowmines try and disperse. Perhaps one will burrow effectively. Well, if it burrowed, it would have been. Well, no, it still would have died, actually. This is not an armory build. So, still would have died. Medevac gets put into the top corner, which you can barely see on the mini-map, and Skillous does not check all the way to the corner. That is an extra, like, 4 seconds before he gets across the map, so... funny how much dead space there is on this map. Ooh, getting a Raven versus a Phoenix opener. It's always been awkward. But I've seen HeRoMaRinE lose his Raven with absolutely nothing to say about it, and then still win the game. So there is that. Stim, combat shields, and +1 is actually finishing. The Raven destroys the Observer under the safe protection of the Marines. And let's see if the push is good. Let's see if the Raven actually lives to contribute to the push. Phoenix can't grab the Raven, but if they could grab a couple of reinforcing Marauders or Widowmines, that would also be really useful. They so far are not able to do so. Kind of coming around, looking for maybe this tank. Nope, not gonna try and go for it. Yes, nope, yes, medevac, medevac. Yes, nope, no. But still, that was a lot of time bot. Oh, that is a very bold stim in. Oh, I think he saw a lone Colossus and he was like, yeah, let's go for it, but that's... still mostly 2 Colossus contributing. Now, obviously, there's an interference matrix just itching to get one of them, but the question is, would it really be worth it? Widowmine captures that weak Phoenix, so it actually kills it. Nicely done there. And HeRoMaRinE says, you know what? Nah, bro. Nah. Just pull back, man. Peace. Peace and love. That's a very fast Ghost Academy. Is he on 2 bases? Is he on 2 base? Oh, no. There it is. I feel like I've never seen a 3rd CC go down in that corner. It fits? The fuck? Really? Okay. Not important. So not 2 base all in, but still very fast Ghost Academy. I'm actually really surprised how fast this was. This might be a Ghost Academy timing that would be quite expected if this was a fast Storm build, which I know Zest was experimenting with and some other Protosses. I think Showtime does it. But it's very clearly not. So I am surprised that he got it kind of while scouting the Colossus. Huh. Usually you see Ghost production start up about when they do saturate 3 bases, because then they can afford 5 barracks, factory, starport, and ghosts. But he was affording ghosts on 3 barracks and 2 base. So he does have a good number of them, lickety-split. I mean, it does make some sense to have Ghost as a priority against someone playing with Phoenix. It just usually isn't still that much of a priority. I feel like my evidence is just in previous games, isn't it? In this series. Didn't he wait till 3 bases to go Ghosts, even against other Phoenix Colossus builds? Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps I was talking about other things and didn't even notice it. Either way, he does quickly get to 3 base saturation. He was able to, I think, oversupply his natural and then transfer. So it's like probably not important to talk about. Double Viking production also being afforded. And Skillous, wow, doing a wonderful job of spreading out the vision of the map. It's got 4 bases coming online, lots of upgrades on that production tab, Dark Shrine, as well as a proxy gateway. And then, like I said, a lot of vision. Very nicely done. HeRoMaRinE trying to play the vision game. Terran's very familiar with this with PvT. Just a little bit more awkward against other races, because you gotta send more out. Skillous is really refusing to give him any type of vision. HeRoMaRinE's push, kind of scary. He's got 1-1, the EMP upgrade. Concussive Shell is finally finished. 8 Vikings is a good number against 3 Colossus, but again, usually I feel like we see 11. Which is an odd number, but still. Okay, then we have a base race. Okie dokie then. So Skillous did have vision on the map. And I thought the Zealot saw the tail end of the army, but I guess I'm wrong. Decides to go for the base race. All right, Dark Shrine is not finished. Disruptors have not finished. Oh no, I spoke too soon. 2 Disruptors are finished, but not shooting. 4 Disruptors remain. 2 more will pop from somewhere. I'm not sure where. Somewhere. 1 on top. Okay, coming in from the back as well. Skillous could be going for the good old Disruptor sandwich. Will probably not get the chance. All right, what's happening over here? Nothing really back at home to help defend. Some SCVs, some Ghosts actually have been pulled, so that could actually affect this. Disruptor seems to have been taken down, or the Robo is depowered, either one, whatever. And base race is in full swing. Command Center number 2 is alive. Command Center number 1 is so far alive. Same with number 3. EMP and the combination of whatever Marines have been able to trickle out do help take care of the Phoenix. In the main base, we have the Bio Army still wrecking havoc. Deciding not to go first and foremost for the Dark Shrine. Probably feeling a lot safer in this game, because he has 3 orbitals and Ghosts. 7 Ghosts, although 3 of them are about to die. Got a little bug. It only happens ever so rarely. That's a really weird one. And who would win this if they both fought each other? So HeRoMaRinE would win the fights. Dark Shrine finally went down, by the way. Only 1 DT was made. 4 Disruptors still chilling. Waiting for the army to come down. 2 being used means that the interference matrix could actually bop the other 2. HeRoMaRinE not going to pick up on that timing. It was going to be a real, like, you know, needle. I guess, no, thread through the needle. There we go. So I can't blame him for not doing that. It would have been very dangerous to actually do perfectly. That 3rd orbital command, it looks like it's also going to live. Phoenix just don't kill buildings very quickly. With the tanks covering his retreat down to the low ground, Skillous is now officially on 0 mining. Nope, he's got this base actually mining away. Weirdly calm during a base race. Looks like maybe 1 of the orbitals actually did fall. Everything was chasing it, but still 2 orbitals left alive. Means that there is a chance for a non-base race finish. Like, you could actually try and macro this one out for both parties, although much more unlikely for HeRoMaRinE. The Disruptor already got a pretty good shot while still being alive. That's excellent. That wasn't a trade. That was a straight-up victory for Skillous. And Skillous does have better upgrades. Is this really all of HeRoMaRinE's army? Now it looks awfully small. He missed picking up a tank as well. That's not peachy. I guess so much of it is in Vikings, too. There are 3 Colossus that need to be killed, so you can't just give those away. Another orbital command has been found out. So this one is in a perfect position. This one just wasn't microed. I don't think. I think it just got put somewhere and then HeRoMaRinE focused on other things, because there are a lot of dead space places. Okay, so he's building another command center. HeRoMaRinE still has another whole command center. Oh, he's building 2 command centers! Wow, he had a lot of bank. Okay. This one was successfully denied mining.
Twitch
Skillous
Prime
does
sub
not have enough
received.
for another Nexus, but he's
Thank you,
rebuilding
Bobby.
one somewhere. I'll get into that in a second. EMP's blanket the Protoss army, and this is a fight that Skillous 100% is not going to win. Disruptor's far too late to this engagement, even though they grab a handful of the Ghosts, a handful of the Marauders, actually 3 Disruptor shots contributing to the fight, but far too late. GG, Skillous is not going to be able to take this victory away from HeRoMaRinE, and HeRoMaRinE will add another open cup to his belts. GG. A lot closer of a TVP than I was giving it credit for. Thank you, Shawzaw, for the Prime sub. Hope you guys enjoyed that series as much as I did.